You know how everyone keeps saying content is king these days?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this deep dive is all about what happens when somebody takes that idea
Okay.
and just throws the whole rule book out the window.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack like a really unique marketing campaign, one that's making people laugh and scratch their heads and ultimately, pay attention.
It's a great example of how, like, the line between brilliant and just totally bonkers can get really blurry when it comes to grabbing attention in a crowded digital world.
Exactly. So our source material this time is an article from the Hustle Sunday newsletter. It was published November 17th of this year.
Okay.
And the title is Creative Marketing, What We Can Learn from a Crazy Idea About Instagram's Terms and Conditions.
Interesting.
It's all about this company that did something pretty wild. They turned Instagram's, notoriously long and boring terms and conditions into a sleep aid.
Like a sleep aid.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of those anxiety-inducing emails that say, like, we're updating our privacy policy.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to drift off to sleep listening to Mark Zuckerberg's voice just droning on about data usage?
Well, the humor, right. The humor is part of it. But what's really interesting to me is the strategy behind it.
Yeah.
It turns out that the whole Zuckerberg thing, this website, it wasn't even the main event. It was a marketing ploy by a company called TLDR Legal.
Okay, I'm starting to see like a method to the madness here. Tell me more about TLDR Legal and how this sleep aid website kind of plays into their business.
So TLDR Legal, what they do is they connect law students with graphic design gigs.
Okay.
Specifically for the legal industry.
Interesting.
So they're essentially like this curated platform for legal design talent.
So how does the Zuckerberg website, how does that play into that?
Well, at first glance, it might seem completely unrelated, right? But it's actually like a brilliant example of what they call show, don't tell marketing.
So instead of just saying like, hey, we're creative, they're actually demonstrating it in a way that's, unexpected and kind of hilarious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Most marketing these days, it's all about companies bragging about their services or listing features.
It's a lot of telling, not a lot of showing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So TLDR Legal flipped the script.
Yeah.
They created something unique and memorable that directly reflects their core value proposition.
Okay.
Making that complex world of legal information, more digestible and, dare I say, enjoyable.
Yeah. It's proof-driven marketing. It's like the best of it, right?
Yeah.
They didn't just say, we're creative. They showed us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful way to build trust with potential clients. It's like that old saying, actions speak louder than words.
I can definitely see how that applies here.
Right.
But was this all like a clever stunt to go viral? Or did they actually, get some tangible results from this?
Well, the article that we're looking at, it doesn't get into specific numbers, like metrics or anything like that. But it does highlight how this kind of unconventional approach can lead to media coverage, like valuable media coverage, and social media buzz, which these days...
That's marketing gold.
Yeah, marketing gold. So think about it. If you're like a journalist and you're looking for a story, are you going to write about, just another legal tech company launching a new service? Or are you going to click on the one about the company that built a website where you can fall asleep to Instagram's terms and conditions?
Yeah.
I think I know which one I'd click on. So this absurd idea actually served a very strategic purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, it generated buzz, it showcased their creativity, and ultimately it helped them stand out from the crowd in a really competitive market. But the question is, can this kind of, go big or go home strategy
actually work for businesses beyond, just generating attention?
That's what I'm curious about. Is this something that other industries can replicate?
Right.
Or is it just kind of a one-off viral success?
Yeah. That's a great question. And it's one that we are going to explore further as we dig deeper into this article. But before we do that, I think it's worth examining why this particular campaign was so effective.
Okay, I'm all ears. What made this more than just a silly website? What can we learn from TLDR Legal's approach beyond just the initial, shock value?
I think one key factor is he didn't just create something weird, just to be weird.
Right.
They tapped into something relatable. I mean,
Yeah.
like who hasn't felt overwhelmed by the sheer volume of like legal jargon we see online?
It's true, yeah. We all click agree without even reading those terms and conditions.
Right, exactly.
So in a way, they're kind of poking fun at this universal experience that we all have.
Exactly. And that shared experience,
Yeah.
it helps create a connection with their target audience.
Yeah.
It's not just about trying to like sell you on something. It's like, hey, we get it. This stuff is confusing and boring.
Yeah.
And we're here to make it better.
So it's not just being creative, it's being relevant and understanding your audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their pain points.
Absolutely. And speaking of understanding pain points,
Okay.
the article goes on to give another great example of this whole show, don't tell
Okay.
approach in action.
Okay.
It talks about two people pitching website design services to a dentist.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Now, how does the whole sleep aid website thing tie into a dentist's office?
Well, it's not about the specifics of the industry.
Okay.
It's about the underlying principle.
Okay.
So the article kind of contrasts these two different approaches, right?
Yeah.
To the pitch. So person A goes with the standard. Like,
Yeah.
spiel, we're a great design agency. We can build you a beautiful website,
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds pretty generic.
Right.
I bet most dentists have heard that 100 times.
Exactly. Now, person B takes a completely different approach.
Okay.
They actually present the dentist with a mock-up website.
Wow.
That they've created.
Okay.
Specifically for that dentist's practice.
Wow, that's bold.
Right.
They're not just talking the talk.
Right.
They're walking the walk.
Exactly. And it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
It instantly elevates them above the competition because instead of just claiming they can do something,
right,
they're providing tangible evidence of their skills and understanding of that dentist's needs.
It's like the difference between, telling someone, I'm a great cook,
right,
and then whipping up a delicious meal right in front of them.
And this approach does a few important things.
Yeah.
First, it demonstrates a genuine understanding of the client's needs.
Okay.
And target audience, right?
Yeah.
Of course, B didn't just throw together some generic template. They considered what would resonate with the dentist's patients and highlight the practice's unique qualities.
So they're not just showcasing their design skills.
Right.
They're showing that they did their homework.
Exactly.
And they understand the business.
Precisely. And that builds trust, which is crucial, in any business relationship.
Yeah.
Second, it allows for a much more collaborative approach.
Okay.
By presenting that mock-up, right, person B is essentially inviting the dentist into that creative process. Exactly. It becomes more of a conversation rather than a one-sided pitch.
Yeah, it's like, hey, here's our vision. What do you think?
Exactly.
Let's work on this together.
Exactly. And that collaborative spirit can make the client feel more invested in the project and ultimately lead to a better outcome for everybody.
So we've seen two different, very different examples of this show don't tell marketing.
Yeah.
One playful and attention-grabbing, and then this one which is much more, focused and practical.
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways that we can kind of apply to our own work?
Sure.
Regardless of industry.
I think the biggest takeaway is to think beyond traditional ways of promoting yourself or your business.
Okay.
Don't just tell people what you can do. Find creative ways to demonstrate your skills and value.
So instead of listing your qualifications on a resume,
right,
create a portfolio that shows off your work in a compelling way.
Yeah, or if you're trying to land a new client, don't just send them a generic proposal.
Right.
Right. Tailor the pitch to their specific needs.
Yeah.
And offer a glimpse into how you can help them achieve their goals.
It's about going that extra mile to make an impression.
Right. And remember, it's not just about being flashy or gimmicky or anything like that.
Right.
It's about being authentic.
Yeah.
And finding ways to genuinely connect with your audience.
So how do we strike that balance between creativity and authenticity?
Yeah.
How do we make sure our efforts are both memorable and meaningful?
Well, I think a big part of it is just understanding that creative doesn't have to mean over the top.
Right.
Sometimes the most effective approach is to, just present your work in a way that's clear and concise and engaging.
It's about cutting through the noise and getting to the heart of what makes you or your business, unique.
Yeah.
Think about TLDR Legal again. Their website wasn't flashy.
Right.
It wasn't overly produced or anything like that.
Right.
It was simple and funny and effective because it tapped into that shared experience and delivered on its promise.
And that's a good reminder that creativity isn't just about coming up with these wild ideas.
Yeah.
It's also about solving problems
Uh-huh.
and connecting with people in meaningful ways.
Absolutely.
But how do we avoid the trap of being like too clever for our own good?
Yeah,
There's a fine line between being memorable and being just totally confusing.
there is. And I
Yeah.
think that's where knowing your audience comes in.
What resonates with one group might totally alienate another.
So we need to be mindful of not just what we're saying, but how we're saying it.
Exactly. And always be willing to experiment and iterate.
Yeah.
What works for one campaign might not work for another.
Right.
The key is to just be constantly learning and adapting.
So it's not just about being creative, it's about being strategic and thoughtful and how we apply that creativity.
Precisely. And if we circle back to the broader implications of all of this,
Yeah.
I think TLDR Legal's success kind of points to a larger shift that we're seeing in the whole marketing landscape.
Oh, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think the consumers are just becoming increasingly savvy and skeptical of traditional advertising these days.
Especially in the age of social media,
Exactly.
where everyone's vying for our attention. It's like,
Exactly. So brands that can cut through the clutter with authentic and engaging content that provides real value, those are the ones that are going to win out.
it's not just about interrupting people's lives with ads anymore.
Right.
It's about becoming a part of their lives in a way that feels natural and beneficial.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole show don't tell approach is so important. It's about shifting from a mindset of, broadcasting messages to creating these experiences.
It's about moving beyond words and using actions to demonstrate who you are and what you stand for.
Exactly. And I think that's a much more sustainable and ultimately more rewarding approach to marketing in the long run.
So what if boring marketing is truly dying out?
Yeah.
Could this signal a shift toward more genuine, value-driven approaches that prioritize connection over interruption?
It's certainly a possibility, and if that's the case, I think it's a positive development for both businesses and consumers.
Well, this whole conversation has been a great reminder that sometimes the best way to stand out is to just be yourself and let your work speak for itself. Maybe the real marketing genius lies in being authentically you.
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of creative marketing.
Yes.
We've unpacked a lot of information, from a sleep-inducing website
That's right.
to a dentist's office.
Right.
And hopefully, glean some valuable insights along the way.
Yeah, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that in a world that's saturated with information, creativity and authenticity are more valuable than ever.
And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create the next marketing masterpiece.
Or, maybe you'll just start reading those terms and conditions a little more closely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you in the future.